Okay, my name is Lorraine.
And my name is Leo. We all always enjoy fishing and hunting and camping for as long as we can remember.
We came to British Columbia in 1956. My husband was in the Air Force, and the first thing we did was look for a place to camp. In the early years, we took our children camping at Mahone Lake, Morton Lake, all over the place, until the area became a government campsite. Not wanting to camp with a whole pile of people, we explored our own campsites. We made our own campsites, and as it got filled up, we went a little further up. That's how we found Patterson Lake. That was the only place that froze in the wintertime.
I retired by way of medical requirement on my part, and not wanting to fall under government assistance, we decided to choose an alternate way of living.
They sent us to Nanaimo, they sent us to Sayward, they sent us to Victoria. Finally, we decided that Campbell River didn't want anything to do with us, so we decided we'll stay on the island. When they want us to move, they'll come and tell us. They'll come and move us.
Our NDP millet at the time wrote to the Ministry of Park and Housing on our behalf to what was the policy of people living on Crown land, and their response was they are looking into the review of trespass policy, but nothing was completed at this time. Until some clarification came about, we remain living and enjoying our paradise. No further action was taken by the government to investigate our home site.
So we lived peacefully on our island, which the grandchildren called Paradise Island, from 1976 to 1999. No agent ever came to our home.
In 1980, we applied for a special use permit, but we were told it would be better suited for general public use. Later that year, we applied for a resort site. It is under review. No further correspondence with government agent until 1982, in which they said application denied and please vacate.
Were inter-office letter writing and sending memos back and forth as to the legalities and evicting of persons located on Crown land. Ministry staff had been informed by hearsay that we were hostile and that the sheriff should accompany our eviction. No known encounters ever taken place, as no government agent ever attended our site. They flew over and took pictures, that's all.
If the government is not sure of eviction policy and legitimacy of their action, why would we vacate our home? Also, the government is worried about the cost aspect of public fallout of this eviction. Now we are instructed to pay occupation rent for 1984 to the amount of 27 cents a day. In 1985, an agreement for the registry for life, so we could receive the homeowner's grant, the tax on the land, or for the user fee, the tax on the building were now classified as residential one. Due to the weather, the government agent could not make it to Campbell River because of a large snowfall in Victoria. So we signed the paper and sent them back to Victoria. We feel relieved that to be able to live without government reprisal.
And then nothing is heard from the government from 1985 until 1988, which were still paying property taxes. The Lands and Forest Branch had handed this problem to the regional agent, and they must have handled this trespass swiftly and as quietly as possible. They feel after 120 days, if you don't leave, then their option was to seize everything and burn the buildings.
Nothing is heard from the government from 88 to 91, in which we found out that they are still unsure on how to proceed in the eviction persons from Crown land. they suggest themselves that it's best to leave well enough alone and save themselves the aggravation and expenses and just let us live out our days there rent-free. Nothing has happened for 9 years until we wrote a letter in 2000 asking to purchase the Paradise Island again and sent a copy of my tax notice paid in full, of course. At the point the NDP is being ousted by the Liberal Party and in June 2001 and wants some instant money from us for the occupation of the land.
In 2001, we received a registered letter informing us to remove all our contents and vacate the area, but we are not allowed to burn any structures. We must comply with all waste management and any provincial, federal compliances, and an inspector would be carried out by the enforcement officer, but once again, nobody came.
Nothing was heard again from Campbell River Land Management until 2004 when they tried to set up a temporary tenure. How can you be temporary when you've been living in a place for 20 some odd years? But anyway, the way it was worded, we signed all the papers, sent them over there like a blank check. Then if we're lucky, they'll agree to it. If we're not, then we're out after spending a whole pile of money.
Allegations from a former unhappy camper with us living there put in a complaint to the conservation officer about camping longer than 14 days in a recreational campsite. The motorhome was parked off the road at the end of the lake, but there was not a recreational camp. We cleared that land for our park, for our camper, and any or all allegations of us guiding bear or elk hunters or dumping garbage or sewage into the lake was totally unfounded, and all the inter-office conjecture made by office staff supplied by rumors, no follow-up was ever made for these allegations.
The land management bench kept coming up with different offers for us to pay for our style of living, but the payment schedule and plan just won't BC government mumbo jumbo. In February 2006, land management sent a memo to other officers stating that the Ministry of Forest had an interest in developing Patterson Lake as the recreational property, but this will not be accomplished and no fund released until the people on the island are removed.
In all this inter-office chatter back and forth, no significant eviction decision is made on any government part, not until the suspicious fire of our home in December 2007. Then the government makes a move as to clear us out. This was done on the authority of the local branch of the Land Management Bureau of Campbell River and not a sanctioned recourse from head office in Victoria.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Land at the time said that the local land branch to go to option number 3, and that was to post no trespassing sign on the remaining structure and notify us not to rebuild and clean up the remaining site. Of course, there was 6 feet of snow at the time, so there's not much we could do. But their own field manual, due to consideration, is supposed to be given for our age and the location and proximity of Crown Land, scope of work, time of year, and adequate notification. Also, in the manual, they were to tag and list the chattel they were to be removed, but most of it went to the dump and to a little shack somewhere in Black Creek. We never received a list. Only later were we informed the effect was stored in Black Creek Park and Land Station. Prior to taking place, we had meeting one day, and the next day they were out there removing everything and burning and destroying whatever was there. I also have a mineral claim on there, and it calls a trespasser. I'm a licensed prospector for 25 years. Why does a prospector go to prospect if you can't go on Crown Land?